All right, Alex, today is the day we're going to get started on your watch, your grandfather's watch. Let's start by taking the movement out of the case here. Okay. Goodness, give me one second. All right. These are great runners when they're right. They just have this slow lope to them. They're not a high beat by any stretch of the imagination. Oop. Come on, there we go. Huh. That's interesting. Just had a screw fall out. See if we can get that to fall back in before we go too much further here. Yep, okay. Interesting. You never know with a nearly 60-year-old watch what's going to happen. So always interesting. Ooh-wee. Okay, got some moisture built up here over time, which has led to some rusting. What I'm hopeful of, however, is that it didn't get into your fourth wheel pivot. That can be a problem. We shall see. Wants to turn. Okay. Okay, so I think at this point we can... Wow. Oh my gosh, your case back gasket is a brick. A brick. Right. It's always an interesting process with these. They have a ring that has its screwed down. So leave the case ring. Oh my goodness. That bridge screw is almost out. That's the second screw that is vibrated or made its way nearly out of the movement. Amazing, amazing. That's a little scary, I have to say. Here's your crown, we'll get that rebuilt. Wow! Oh my goodness. All right, let's reveal that beautiful dial. Oh my gosh. So good. So good. Look at that. Whoa. Oh my goodness. Huh. Not a speck of anything. Wow. So nice. That is fantastic. Fantastic. All right, there's your dial ring. Wowee. Amazing. Just incredible. So good. Wow. I just love it. All right, so what I'm going to do now is remove your dial and hands. Get everybody as aligned as I can. Okay. There we go. Perfect. All right. Wowee. So fun. Okay. Okay. Got a 7.4 on the back and 7.2 on the back. So, very nice. All right, put those away for safekeeping. Now we can move on to less frightening things. It's always scary. Those are such valuable pieces. It's always fun. Okay. So, oh, yeah, off comes your cannon pinion. Interesting. Okay, let's keep going. Let's see if we can get this is held down well. Yeah, that should do it. All right, let's go ahead and take your balance. Ooh, also loose. Okay, that looks good. Okay, so let's check everybody here. Got a bit of dust. Some minor things. Everything's just a little bit too loose for my liking. Just, you know, it's one of those things where if there was vibration involved, you know, in the wearing of the watch, whether it was operating machinery or, whoops, perhaps riding a motorcycle or some other means by which to provide vibration, it lends to, you know, loosening. And that's not so bad. That's pretty good. I don't think we're going to jewel your main plate, just out of preservation of the originality. Don't think it needs it. We'll have to inspect very closely. See what kind of wear we have. Alright, let's take off your train bridge and your balance cock. Looks okay. Your jewels look pretty good. I'm going to take a very close look at your bushings here, make sure everything is right. There's your fourth wheel. I'm also going to inspect that very closely. Your third wheel. There's your escape wheel. And your barrel. Lost some of its lubrication over time, but it doesn't look bad. Certainly no wear marks on any of these edges, so it hasn't been tipped. Okay. Looks good. All right, that's this side. Let's go ahead and start with the other side. Okay. Make sure we don't lose the shepherd's crook. There we go. There's one spring. Beautiful date wheel. Okay, all metal components. Okay, good. Looking good, looking good. Retaining plate here. Your minute wheel. It's got its own outer bushing. Okay, now for your keyless works. So this is before Seiko decided to just go ahead and design some stamped out pieces to all these little components that go into the keyless works. Springs and doodads. It's not very complicated, but you know, they certainly simplified over time. Two distinct screws that are different for each piece. There's your setting lever. And this, which loads from the backside. It's always fun if you forget that. Okay, so that is your movement torn down, all the pieces disassembled. We're going to send this, going to look at each one of these jewels to make sure everything's good. I'm going to look very closely at these bushings, clean this up, make a decision about what to do here. We may be jeweling it, but we'll see. Okay, we'll be back. More to do. Okay, Alex, well, we are out of the cleaner and ready to start reassembly. So, a couple things to point out. Everything looks pretty good. I checked all of your pivots and your bushings and jewels and everything very closely. It turns out you did need one jewel for a bushing that had gone bad, and we had seen that in the beginning. There was quite a bit of rust around the top here. So this is your fourth wheel jewel in your train bridge, and so that needed to be replaced with a jewel. That bushing was roasted. So now it's time to start with reassembly. So we're going to start with your center wheel, of course. Make sure there's nothing on there. Perfect. Okay, one thing I like to do before we go too far is actually, while I'm thinking about it, install your release button here. This has to come through from this side of the bridge. And you don't want to forget it. There we go. Okay. Good. Alright, third wheel, escape wheel, need to go in. So, escape wheel. There we go. And your third wheel. Alright. And now for your fourth wheel. Just needs a small bit of lubrication here. Right on. Now there's no hacking on this, so we can go right to train bridge. Mm-hmm. There we go. Very nice. Very nice indeed. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now they're tight. Good. All right, so let's put your click in place. Oh, come on. Come on. Oh, these screws. They're so small. And in this really precarious spot. Okay. Excellent. All right, now your ratchet wheel. Good. It's nice to see it react well. Let's go ahead and tighten that up. Good. Very good. Okay, let's give it some lubrication. Cool. Good. Okay. Let's flip over and we can lubricate your cannon pinion and center wheel connection. Good. All right, lubricate your third wheel and your escape wheel. And we'll install your die shock jewel. Put that in its setting there. Good. Okay. Okay, back over. All right, now we've pre-lubricated your pallet fork jewels. So we're going to put this in place. I like these movements because they're very open. You can really see the components. I don't know. There we go. That looks pretty good. Let's see how that does. Make sure it flicks. Yep. That's good. Very good. Where's your screw? Oh, come on. Where'd you go? I just had you. Did you fall into another bit tray here? Perhaps? Yep, there you are. Tried to escape. It's because you're associated with the escapement. That's why. That's probably not why. Alright, let's check that one more time. Yes. Alright, let's power up your mainspring. And we are nearly there with the running of your watch. Okay. There we go. Wants to go. Wants to go. And there it goes. All right, swing, balance. Put your die shock. Okay, excellent. There we go. All right, let's see how we did. Let's see how we did. Okay, Alex, well, we are doing great here. I made a few little adjustments, but right out of the gate, it was just running spectacularly well. We're doing good here, 250s, perhaps on the way to 260. We'll see, fingers crossed, of course. But accuracy wise and beat error, you got great signal. It's a good watch. This thing's running fantastic. All right, well, I'm gonna let this continue to break in, and then we'll switch over to the calendar side. All right, we'll be back. Okay, Alex, well, we are back over on the other side. It's time to complete the assembly here, and then we can get to your dial in your hands and get you finished up. So let's see. I'm going to go ahead and lubricate all your pivot points here. Okay, Alex, we are gonna get everything back together here. So we've got a few more pieces to go. Make sure everybody's in their right spots here. There we go. That's what we want to see. Good. Okay. All right. Now we can put your date wheel back on. We have to put your correcting lubrication. back. Good. Okay. Okay. Well, let's finish off here. All right. Oh my goodness. It's moving colder. Perhaps not the best one. Okay. And there we have it. Excellent. Okay. So next stop is dialing hands, and then we'll be ready to finish up. Okay, Alex, well, here we are right at the end. We're going to go ahead and get your winding assembly here installed. Very good. All right. Final triplet of screws. Okay. All right, and now your final component, the winding weight. All right, give that a full wind. All right, we have one last thing, and that's your new case back gasket. I want to point out here that, before I get too far, your old case back gasket had been there for a very long time, clearly. But one thing you did suffer from was a little bit of rust here on your sealing surface. So I know you're not going swimming with this watch, but be very careful with water, because those surfaces need to be essentially machine flat in order to keep this really watertight. So even splashing can be an issue with these if you're not careful. So just be careful. Okay, perfect. Let's go ahead and get your case back in place. Let me just be 100% sure we got that on. Come on. Come on. All right, there we go. Now we got it. Perfect. All right, are we ready to see this beautiful, beautiful piece? All right. Well, there it is. There it is. Your grandfather's 1967, February 67, 6217, 8001, otherwise known as the 62 Mas. In incredible condition. Just stunning. Stunning is the only word that suits this watch. Well, I don't know what else to say other than to review what we've done. So, of course, full service on the movement. Everything came out great. I think it's running really, really well. I was able to go ahead and free up your bezel, which now rotates exactly as it should. Feels fantastic. It's got a little grip, but it's also, it has, somebody explained to me once, they said, you know, it should feel like a dial on a 1970s stereo. You know, that sort of just enough resistance to make it feel good, but not enough to make it feel rough. So you're right there. Case, just cleaned the case. I polished your crystal. You know, I left some of these peccadillos, these little imperfections, left those there. Your hands and your loom, you know, you can tell somebody has serviced this watch in the past. It has a little bit of, you know, just scratchy right around where people set the hands. And, you know, sometimes people weren't so careful because, frankly, it was just seen as a used watch, and a lot of times they got a little bit of abuse. But, you know, I was able to get the haze off of your hands for the most part. Your dial is just crisp and clear and perfect. Rebuilt your crown, so that's now nice and lovely. New case back seal, of course. So let's just review what we've got here. Let's make it so we can see that dial. So let's go over what we replaced, and then we can talk a little bit about what you want to do. So there we go. Those are your components that we have either repaired or replaced. Case back seal, of course, which is a brittle piece of plastic. We've got those two pieces. Here's your bushing that we replaced with a jewel. That will come back to you. That was for your fourth wheel. And here's your very, very stiff crown gasket, which is hard as a rock. So that will come back in a little envelope, especially for you. But what's most important is what will come back here for you to wear. Now, I'll put a link in the description of this video to Uncle Seiko. Uncle Seiko is a manufacturer of aftermarket rubber bands, bracelets essentially, and rubber bands that go on these watches. And he has one that's called a Tropic. It's a 19 millimeter Tropic for this watch. So these came with what was called a tropic strap in the early mid to late 60s, and it's a really nice fit for this. I know you have your grandfather's original bracelet, but I would recommend an Uncle Seiko. They're really nice. These are actually original original pins. They go right back in here very easily, and you have the benefit of having drill through case lugs, and you can go ahead and get these in and out very easily if you have that. This one's a little bit stuck, so push that one out. Make sure you get that back in there. I'll pull that out in a moment. But it makes it really nice for changing the band. And you know, I would certainly go with the Uncle Seiko if you're going to go for something made out of rubber. It's just a really nice one. I have one. There are some of these, you know, rally style as well that look good on these. You know, it's all up to you. You can do whatever you like. You'd asked me about value. You know, I cannot really in good faith give you an estimated value. That comes from a sale. And I don't know. I really don't. I know what I've seen them for. Yours is, to me, top of the mark in terms of condition. You still have some frosting on the back. It's not as high fidelity as some, but it's still there. You have a perfect dial, very, very good hands, perfect loom. It's been serviced. Got a really great insert with no fading and no real scratches. Perfect case. I mean, they don't get much better than this, to be honest, in terms of case condition. Not really even any scratches in these front pieces, which is just incredible. So in terms of value, I would say that you're probably at the top of where this market is. What that is really determined by what your research shows, and if you get it appraised, you know, make sure it's somebody who understands this watch, because they are unique. One thing I did want to point out that I did notice when I was putting things back together, your Seiko has a slight, really slight, very, very partial tweak. I don't know if you can see that, right by the E. But you know what? That's okay. It's still fantastically good. I'm probably going to get a lot of comments and a lot of emails saying, send me that guy's email address. But I'm not going to. That's all up to you. I would keep this watch, and you know, frankly, if you ever tire of it, you know where I am. But seriously, it's a great watch, and I hope you enjoy it, and thank you very much for trusting me with it. And you know, show this to your grandmother. I'm sure she'll get a kick out of this process. But yeah, your grandfather took care of you. He gave you a great piece, and I hope you enjoy it. All right. Thank you so much, Alex.